Welcome to Tech Blueprint, a window that lets you know the latest technology news in the world. TSMC, located in Taiwan Province, China, is currently a world-renowned wafer foundry giant, but it is also at the forefront of the storm. Even the founder Morris Chang recently reiterated that TSMC has truly become a battleground. Because the powers all want to divide TSMC, not only the United States, Europe, and Japan have invited TSMC to invest and build factories, but even India has this idea. However, Taiwan, China recently officially announced that TSMC is not allowed to produce 2 nanometers overseas. You know, TSMC is the world's #1 wafer foundry industry. It not only leads in wafer foundry technology, but also occupies more than half of the market share. Although Samsung's foundry technology has caught up, the yield problem has led to a larger share gap. Recent news shows that Samsung has closed 30% of its 4 nanometers, 5 nanometers, and 7 nanometers wafer foundry production lines to cope with weak orders. Although Samsung still ranks second in the foundry industry, its market share is only about 15%, while TSMC occupies more than 60% of the global market, and has won about 90% of the global orders below 7 nanometers, and nearly 100% of the 3 nanometers orders. Therefore, although the United States has also invited Samsung to build a factory in the United States, the protagonist is still TSMC, while Europe, Japan, etc., are all targeting TSMC. Because whoever can invite TSMC to invest and build a factory can quickly improve their wafer manufacturing technology. It is precisely because of this that the world's powers are fighting for TSMC, wanting TSMC's wafer factory to be under their control. In recent years, whether through political pressure or capital attraction, TSMC has built factories in the United States, Japan and Germany in Europe. Among them, the European German factory is still a mature process, and the Japanese factory has begun to move towards advanced processes. The focus is on the US factory. TSMC promised to build a 5 nanometers wafer factory at the time. Later, in order to win the US chip subsidy, TSMC not only upgraded 5 nanometers to 4 nanometers, but also increased the investment to $40 billion and built another 3 nanometers factory. That's not all. When the United States promised to provide TSMC with $6.6 billion in subsidies and $5 billion in low-interest loans, TSMC also promised to increase the investment to $65 billion and build another 2 nanometers, or less advanced wafer factory, in the United States. Judging from these arrangements for TSMC to build factories in the United States, it will achieve advanced processes in sync with local factories in Taiwan Province in the future. The key is that TSMC is not just talking, but has already taken practical actions. In order to accelerate the construction of US factories, TSMC not only trains technical talents for the United States, but also transfers a lot of talents and equipment from local factories to the United States. There was news before that TSMC specially chartered a plane to transport senior talents and manufacturing equipment to the United States. So there were sayings such as hollowing out TSMC and TSMC becoming TSMC in the United States. In this regard, the people of Taiwan are very dissatisfied and have strong reactions. But Taiwan Province, which is behind TSMC, is completely unable to protect it, and even sold it to the West as political capital. However, TSMC is the top priority of Taiwan Province's semiconductor companies after all. It is precisely because of TSMC's leadership that Taiwan Province's semiconductors can have a certain position in the world. Once TSMC is hollowed out, Taiwan Province's semiconductor industry will be hit hard. Recently, Maurice Chang reiterated at an event that free trade and globalization are dead, and TSMC's crisis has arrived. Seeing that TSMC's factory processes in the United States, Japan, Europe and other places are becoming more and more advanced, Taiwan Province seems to have awakened and found that if it is allowed to continue, TSMC will really not be named Taiwan. So Taiwan Province officially announced new restrictions. Recently, according to the Taipei Times, the Ministry of Economic Affairs of Taiwan Province, China, publicly stated that Taiwan's technology protection rules make it impossible for TSMC to produce 2 nanometers chips overseas, and TSMC must keep the most cutting-edge technology in Taiwan, China. According to Taiwan's laws, the chips produced overseas by chip manufacturers on the island must be at least 1 generation lower than those on the island. In this regard, some foreign media directly commented that the Taiwan Province of China has begun to resist. However, Trump has won the election and is about to take office. His attitude has become tougher. Recently, he said that he had stolen the U.S. chip business and should pay protection fees to the U.S. Next, Trump may make more stringent demands on TSMC, including mass production of the most advanced process, 2 nanometers, in the United States in advance. At that time, I don't know how those officials in Taiwan will respond. Will they dare to resist? Will TSMC dare to say no? Therefore, TSMC founder Maurice Chang's concerns are right. TSMC has truly become a battleground. Globalization is dead, and world free trade is dead. From this, we can see how helpless this 90-year-old man feels.